I got a lot to say, Rob Gray, on the Cyclone Fanatic post-game report here today. Iowa State loses in Morgantown 38-31. One of the truly most despicable officiating performances I've ever seen. We're going to get to that. First, we got to thank our sponsor, Centurion Stone. You guys saw the opener there. Thanks to them. Thanks to Whiskey River, all of their locations in Ames, Ankeny, and downtown Des Moines, and then, of course, Fareway. Dude, oh, my God, Rob Gray. All right, first things first. The defense played its worst game in years today.
Like since 2016.
This was the worst defensive performance we have seen from Iowa State in a really long time. That's the first thing that I want to say. Second of all, though, the officiating, the only thing worse than Iowa State's defense today was the officiating. Oh, my God. 2 touchdowns that West Virginia gets because of blown plays by the officials. First, the touchdown in the back of the end zone where a receiver never had any part of his body touch inbounds from what I could see. I don't know what the officials were watching on the field to even be able to make that call. And then secondly, you snap a play that it appeared to have 2 full seconds go before with zeros on the play clock, and they score a touchdown. And
fourth down play.
On 4th down, and then Breece Hall gets into the end zone. The side judge on his side of the field calls it a touchdown. And the guy on the opposite side with 20 bodies in front of him says that it's a fumble, and we take that guy as the one making the call. And then on the very last drive of the game, Brock Purdy is diving for the first down, appears to get it from what you can see on the TV copy, and then they mark him 3 yards short. Do not stop the clock, which the only way he could have been 3 yards short was if he had gone out of bounds, which would have stopped the clock. Just a horrendous performance all around from the men in stripes. It was despicable, and I hope that the Big 12 is already getting the apology letter ready, because it was one of the worst performances I have ever seen by a group of men in stripes. And the only things that they should be wearing stripes for is the chain gang, Rob Gray. They should be on the chain gang in the hills in West Virginia. Highway robbery.
At some point, there needs to be some accountability. The replay on Hall's touchdown clearly shows his elbow hits with the ball across the plane, and then it comes loose. I don't think there's any way of looking at that there where you could say that's not what happened. But they said, oh, not enough to overturn it. When, as you said, the original call on the field by the guy who had the best look at it is touchdown. And for a guy who couldn't have any look at it to rule it a fumble, and then they see clear evidence that it wasn't a fumble, and they say, no, it's still a fumble. That's perplexing. I mean, I have no words. It's baffling beyond belief. And as you said, it happened all game. And in fairness, the OPI on the big pass play against West Virginia earlier on, I don't think that was really OPI. I wonder even about the little bit of maybe a little bit of jersey grab on the one that helped Iowa State at one point later. But I mean, so many things. One hold. You're going to tell me that West Virginia's offensive line is so good that Will McDonald doesn't even show up except on a couple of tackles, and they hold once? That's highly suspect. I'm sorry. It's. Again, as you said, the Cyclones, they look like a different team out there. They look like an early 2016 team. Mike Rose couldn't play, obviously, from their injury last week, but they're good at all these other positions. I don't know why, other than Anthony Johnson, corners, and if there was a safety there, got beat all the time, whether it be a short play, whether it be a long play. And you know, we couldn't block them very well most of the game. But
who even was that white hat? I've never seen that white hat before. Like, of all the Big 12 games I've ever watched, I've never seen that guy.
I haven't either. I don't know where he came from.
The Big 12 sent the D team, not only in the announcing booth, but apparently on the officiating crew as well. Unbelievable, dude. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think Tom makes a good point here. It's one thing to get beat by a better team, but refs won that one. I mean, West Virginia wasn't better than Iowa State. I don't know who the better team is. I don't think we got a good indication from that game. No. It was truly horrendous. Truly horrendous. I don't know, man. I mean, the last 5 minutes, that last drive, dude, shout out to Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. That guy was under duress the entire game. Iowa State's offensive line was horrible. the entire game. And Brock continued to make something out of nothing to be able to get anything done. Breece Hall was able to make something out of nothing to get anything done for a lot of that game. A horrendous performance by the offensive line, horrendous performance from the defense. If Mike Rose is, I mean, if losing Mike Rose makes that big of a difference, we are going to be in for some long Saturdays next year, man. I mean, that was, I don't even know. I don't know what to say, Rob. I don't know like what more analysis to have, because I think that this game was such a joke in so many different ways that it's like, it happened on ESPN Plus. Did it even happen? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. It's like, this is like purgatory. This is hell. I feel like I'm in hell, Rob.
On Halloween. At least
on Halloween.
At least they're doing trick-or-treating here in Ankeny tonight. I mean, I completely agree. I will say this for the offensive line. There were a few times where the protection held up really well, but no one could get open, apparently, even though they were always rushing 4 and frequently bringing at least one more. So I don't know. It just so much wrong about it, but yet Iowa State did enough to put itself in position to still win the game. But if the refs are going to give West Virginia 2 touchdowns, I don't know. The first one was a third down play, wasn't it? The one where the toe doesn't hit.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, do they kick with a formerly walk-on kicker that clearly doesn't have much of a leg? I don't know. So maybe they get something. But on 4th and 3, now, should he be that wide open? Absolutely not. I don't know how that happened. But when it clearly shows zeros and the ball is not snapped, how does that happen?
And I know that the way they officiate that play is for the guy to watch the play clock, look at the play clock, see it hit zeros, and then look to see if the ball is snapped. The ball was not snapped within that amount of time. It couldn't have been. Yeah. The clock was on 0 too long. The announcers are in the booth saying, oh, he doesn't know that the play clock is at 0. Yep. And then they still snap the ball and let the play go. Like, that's just what I don't understand, man. The inconsistency of some of these things is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. And the inconsistency of which replay is used and actually used successfully is so infuriating, because they'll review things that make no sense to review, and then they won't get them right still.
Yep.
And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, I don't know what the answer is for some of these things. And I said to the begin, the defense was bad, dude. Like, the defense was bad. The secondary was horrible. Datrone Young and TJ Tampa got picked on the entire game. And I don't know what can change with that group, because we've been seeing Datrone Young for years. If you've been listening to Football and Random Things for the last 4 years, you've heard us talk about that second cornerback spot a lot. It has been a major problem for Iowa State, but they've been able to do enough things to cover it up and make it not matter. But if you lose Mike Rose and that's what happens, then, I mean, I don't know. Like, they're going to give up 400 yards a game for the rest of the year if that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, this West Virginia offense hadn't exactly lit the world on fire. They did what Baylor did in the first half against Iowa State in that loss, pinned on special teams, took what Iowa State gave them. And then I don't know how many tackles were missed, but I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of fun in the film room looking at that game. It is, like you said, like a Twilight Zone type of thing, or it's Bizarro World, to go back to an old Superman comics thing where the opposite is true. And yet they still had a chance, if not for that blown call on Breece Hall's touchdown.
And you know what? That's what makes me think that the better team did not win. The fact that they even had an opportunity to win the game, or even to be close to winning the game, when it went the way that it did, with the trajectory of how that entire game was.
Yeah. I mean, West Virginia, they played well offensively and defensively at times, but they were kind of trying to beat themselves too. Jake Hummel gets that big pick 6. You think maybe this is a turning point. You know, they got the quote unquote lucky kind of turnover, the one that's kind of stripped or goes off the receiver's hands, and the Cyclones get it when they were driving. You know, so the Cyclones did some things to make plays, but then they couldn't get stops when they needed to. When they got out to a lead in the second half, they immediately gave up a drive that it looked like West Virginia's carving through butter, like it did much of the game. And then, you know, it went into, it veered farther into Twilight Zone territory with the refs making substantial, game-changing calls that look like they were wrong. So And I don't know what else to say about it.
And I know after last week with the taunting penalty, there was a lot of conversation about the pool reporter process and stuff like that in the Big 12. I mean, this is the first time that I've ever sat here and been like, the officials have to answer some questions.
Yes.
I mean, some of the calls in this game were unbelievably bad. It just is, it's despicable.
Well, and they weren't judgment calls, so they should have to answer questions from a pool reporter. If it's a fumble or not, that's not like saying, oh, well, we're interpreting what is unsportsmanlike or not, and that's up to me because I see something. The feet not being down in the back of the end zone. I was watching that in real time, and I was like, there's no way. The laws of physics, when your body is going completely the other way and stretching out to do that, I don't know if the best receiver in the history of the NFL could manage to get a foot down after you've extended to make that catch. And then they show on the replay, you can see from the one angle, it's hovering above the turf. And then to not notice, I'm sorry, shouldn't they have like a sound so they can actually be watching the snap and it's telling them it just hit zeros? Okay, I better throw a flag. But yeah, and like you said, it was a decent amount of time. It wasn't just a split second thing. So it's tough. I mean, you dropped to 2 losses in the Big 12. All the thoughts of Jerry World are out the window almost certainly, and it just doesn't seem like it should have been that way. But then again, should have played better, and maybe they can't. Those plays can't swing it, but it's just so hard to make sense of it.
Well, on the bright side, the team that they've got coming into Ames next week hasn't exactly been tearing the world up either. Yep. So I don't know, man. This one is a day ruiner, a weekend ruiner. Yeah. I don't know what to even say. Like, I don't know what more to analysis to have, because this is frustrating, dude. Like, there's a lot that happened in this game that is just baffling, and it is infuriating. I'm going to drink beer and try and forget about it at this point. I think I don't know. I don't know what more to say. I'm sorry, guys, that I don't have more analysis for you, but I'm pissed right now.
Well, it's hard to analyze it because I just was amazed at how many times people didn't seem to be in the right spot on defense, and not even close to being in the right spot. And that's what was so, bizarre to me, because that's what they generally excel at. Yeah, every now and then they miss tackles and this and that, but guys are in the right spots. And how do you analyze that when it's like there wasn't anything scheme-wise West Virginia did? I think that it's like you said, I'm flummoxed by this one. I did not see it coming. I thought they'd win. I thought it would be fairly tight, but and they should have. But I guess moral of the story is you have to beat teams like this by 21 on the road, or it might some calls might go against you. I don't know.
All right, man. I hope you enjoy your Beggars Night. Well, I hope, I'm interested to see what Coach Campbell says on the radio in your whatever. I don't know.
Short. It'll be a short and very unsweet road recap coming up once I get to those quotes.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys again on Monday on Football and Random Things.